Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Jackie and I am forever faithful. Thank you so much for joining me today on my channel. I wanted to share and go a little deeper about the last two videos I released about how I was guided to clarity in the wilderness. And I want to start when I found a group of people, a spiritual group of people that I connected with. We had a lot of things in common when it came to our gifts. Because before that, I had went through awful situations with friends and family, some family members, where I was basically, I cut them off and was alone, and I was seeking someone else, some others like myself. So I found the spiritual group. It was great. Learn more about my gifts and strengthen those gifts in this group. But what I learned in the group was just because someone say that they're spiritual doesn't always mean that they're working in the light. And to pay attention to the vibes you feel from people in general, whether if it's a religious group or a spiritual group or family, friends, strangers, whatever, whoever, just pay attention to those vibes. So I wrote a few notes because I didn't want to forget the main things. Was even within building relationships in this group, there were some people that I immediately felt off. Like their vibe was off. It just did not resonate with mine. And mind you, I don't know these people, but I just knew to kind of keep a distance from certain people. And others seemed, some were awesome, like really kind, loving people and had good intentions. Others were a little bit more, I don't know, sneaky in a sense. And I realized later on that, evil energies are everywhere and no one is immune to them. So I began to notice certain patterns. Once again, I found myself giving more, still giving more of myself than I was receiving, because a part of me had, I guess, a sense of I don't know, desperation or a strong need to belong, to feel like I belong somewhere during this period. So the spiritual group to me was kind of like, in a sense, heaven sent. And I was directed. I know I was supposed to be there at that particular group because there was other groups that I could have chosen to go to, but I didn't. It was this one I was drawn to. And I know that because of a few people that I've met in this group. So, and that was kind of confirmation to me that I was supposed to be there and they were supposed to be there because we had very similar stories and experiences before we decided to go to the group. Anyway, my whole point is that everybody, regardless of who they say they are, you really have to look past who they say they are and really tap into those vibes. What are you feeling from them? Okay? And for me, it was realizing that these people, just like myself, because when I went to the group, started the group, I was still angry and still bitter, and even some rage inside of me. But I was working on that. So I knew I had my own demons that I was battling. And I began to see that these people are no different than myself. Um, I guess a part of me had put them, um, I don't want to say on a pedestal, but in a sense, I looked up to some of them because of their gifts and how accurate they could be. But I also know that evil spirits can all have gifts as well. And that these evil spirits, negative energies, will use a person um, at their will. I mean, and the person may not even be aware of it. So I understood that others were actually dealing with their own demons, and that I really need to pay attention and become even more aware of the people I was surrounding myself with, because here I am again in situations with this new group of people that I had been in previously, that I had, the people I had gotten rid of out of my life. So now I'm like, okay, I'm seeing the patterns. I'm seeing that I'm giving too much. I'm seeing that I'm telling too much too soon. I'm not giving people a chance to earn my trust and my time and my energy, my resources. Um, so yeah, and then over time, I guess people were always showing me themselves, but again, a part of it, I was in training, still in training, um, to understand like it doesn't matter uh, who I may have gotten rid of in my past, but if I haven't learned a lesson, someone new will come in to see if I've learned my lesson. If I haven't, then I'll repeat the same um, lesson over again until I actually get it, right? So in this group, it really taught me to really trust my gut, my instincts, and the vibes that I'm feeling from people. And the thing is, a lot of times I didn't even know why I felt the way that I did around certain people uneasy. But over time, they revealed themselves. They actually showed themselves. So it was like, oh yeah, I don't deal with that. You know what I mean? So it was like building up my spiritual muscles and understanding that not everybody is working in the light. Some people are actually literally dabbling in both. And for me, I don't dabble in the dark. I don't want to be around people who dabble in the dark. No. And so what over time what I learned was that, that this is a part of the training. It's like do not be fooled by other people's gifts and assume that they're working in light when they could be working in darkness. Do not assume that everybody is as genuine and authentic and true and having good intentions like me, because that's not true. Like, there's no difference. These are still people. These are still humans, and they're still flawed, and we're still all fighting, battling our own personal demons. All these negative energies, and so you know, it is what it is. But I just know that, it. I had to realize at some point that I really needed to start cutting some people out and distancing myself from them. And that's when I began to even ask Divine for guidance, because I wasn't sure about certain people, so I wanted to know. I wanted to know, who do I have in my life currently, at least at that time? Who do I have in my life right now that I need to remove. And some people were revealed. And one in particular, and I was like, yeah, once again, I've given, and they've taken, and they continue to take, and will take, and did take as long as I continued to give. And I didn't get anything back. And this person I knew was resistant to change, resistant to dealing with their issues, their childhood issues. So I was like, okay, I'll remove myself. And I did. And over the years, after the lockdown, we kind of went online, and I participated in that probably like a year. And then I began to feel different. And I mentioned that before in another video. I began to feel different about the whole vibe. The vibes was different. I didn't feel like I was growing, and even the speakers, some of the organizers, I just felt like they were stuck and fighting their own demons, and that they've only gone so far because they have been resistant to dealing with whatever they need to deal with. And I was at the point where I was definitely dealing with things and more open and receptive to face things than they were. So I had, in a sense, graduated from that. And I needed more spiritual growth. So I was asked by Divine to leave the group. And I don't know, I just had a sense or a feeling that someone, while, being online, was doing some negative things towards me. And that's the thing. And you don't know where it could be coming from. But I had this strong sense for a couple of weeks, several weeks actually, several weeks to stop doing the online group with them. And then it became pretty evident that, okay, yeah, I need to cut them off. Something's not right. And I know when Divine is trying to cut me off from a person or a situation, that there's usually some negative energies, entities involved. And so I'm being protected. So, but what I learned also is, don't be so afraid to cut people off. Distance yourself from people. Regardless of what you see, pay attention to those vibes. Pay attention to what they say. And especially those who claim to be spiritual, just keep an extra eye out for them, because you really need to know if they're dabbling in the dark. They're dealing with the devil. Because I've learned that the people closest to you sometimes are the ones that will do these things to you. So you really have to be careful. Just be, it's not to be fearful, it's just to be aware. Just to be aware. That's it. Anyway, that's all I wanted to share with you today. Hope you all have a great day. And until next time, take care.